Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Glendale Housing Authority meeting of February 10, 2009. May we have a roll call, please, for the authority?
Authority members: Draymond.
Here.
Mincy.
Here.
Najarian.
Here.
Parazian.
Here.
Quintero.
Here.
Weaver.
Here.
Chairman Yusefian.
Here, may we have your report, please?
Agenda for the February 10, 2009 regular meeting of the Glendale Housing Authority was posted on Thursday, February 5, 2009 on the bulletin board outside City Hall.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
I'll abstain from the...
Okay, with the abstention of Mr. Quintero, the minutes will stand approved as submitted. What's next, please?
Next is oral communication. Discussion is limited to items not a part of this agenda. Each speaker is allowed 5 minutes. Members of the Housing Authority may question or respond to a speaker, but there will be no debate or decision, and the matter may be referred to staff through the Executive Director for investigation and report.
Okay, and with that, we'll go to Mr. Herbert Milano.
Good afternoon, Chairman Yusefian, members of the Housing Authority, and city staff. Last week I came to you with regard to a need that is in Recreational Planning Area 10 to provide some type of assistance to youth who are underserved by appropriate park facilities. In response to my appeal, I want to thank Councilman Yusefian for coming through with some money to support several kids for full years of membership at the YMCA. I want to address the particular needs of youth in Glendale, in particular because this happens to be the most appropriate forum to appeal for this. And I want to frame it in the following way. In the years 2000 and 2001, several reports were initiated by the city manager's office. And oftentimes when we are trying to assess how is the city manager doing and what has he provided the city of Glendale, I look back at these documents that were generated and initiated by the city manager, documents that under every evaluation that you can take are outstanding documents. Here's a document that was generated in 2002. It says report to the city with regard to the proposed youth strategy for the city. And it begins something like this. Last year, the city manager's office asked the youth serving departments within the city to assess the current level of youth services provided by the city and develop a recommended youth strategy. And it goes about defining what the city should do, what the requirements are, and how the city is going to communicate. It says communities that adopt a youth development approach seek to develop a system of supports for youth that provide them with the developmental assets that enable youth to achieve competencies in the following areas: health and physical competence, personal social competence, cognitive creative competence, vocational employability competence, and citizenship and ethics. Then he goes on to say, and use the words that are really appeal to my heart, implement outcome management. It is critical to establish a management system that links programs and services to outcomes. Each program should have a goal that clearly states that the program will accomplish, measurable objectives that describe the results of the program is expected to achieve, and performance indicators that determine whether or not the results are achieved. That's what I've been talking about for many years. In other words, we have within city management the competencies and the desire from way back in the early 2000s to achieve something of significance. And so this report goes on to basically define what the city's strategy should be, what the objectives are, what the needs are. Except that documents like this got to the city council and were never truly implemented or funded properly to basically take it into effect. So if a city council has little interest in following through on something like this, well, nothing will happen. And the same thing we had with a Blue Ribbon report on parks and the needs for parkland and open space in Glendale. Same deal. But what I do find throughout the years is a significant amount of money that is being redirected from the overall city's funds into payroll, benefits, days off, and compensation after retirement. And so out of this significant pool of money that the city receives, the residents and the needs of the residents are shortchanged, in my opinion, by what I believe are truly incredible salaries and benefits that are being given under the excuse that other cities are doing the same thing and that we need to be competitive. I would like to suggest that the city review, once again, documents such as this, and that you fund it, and that you fund youth and families out of the general fund, and ask, that belt-tightening be done in areas primarily with the GMA and all those agreements that were made to ensure that the community has the type of sustainable services that youth and families need. It says right there that the children and the youth that are attended to during their formative years, are reduce our expenses later on, and everybody knows that. Reduce police, reduce incarceration, reduce, services by the public. We need to attend to these needs, especially now as the economy has a significant downturn. And I'm requesting that the city review this document. Once again, I only have one copy for you. Thank you very much.
Milano, what's the date on that document?
April 23rd, 2002.
Thank you. That was my last card. Oral communications closed. What's next, please?
Authority member staff comments.
Mr. Draymond.
Mr. Chair, I'm not sure if this is the correct forum for my comment or /comment/request. And if it is not, then I will take direction from you or from our colleagues as to what would be the correct forum. It is not a direct response to Mr. Milano's comments, but it is related in a general way. I had asked, as you know, that our staff contact Mr. Milano and meet with him, talk to him at least with regard to the city doing something with regard to one of two things, either building on this concept of talking to the YMCA to provide some memberships, or short of that, working with the schools in terms of creating open facilities. We all know that tax money is tax money, whether it gets our money, whether it goes to the state and comes to the schools, or it goes elsewhere and comes directly to our local city. And we all know that we have kids in our city climbing over the fences to use facilities. Mm-hmm. What I'd like to suggest is that I'd like to get some input from either this body or the appropriate body to instruct me as mayor when I sit down with the city manager and the superintendent of public schools, Mr. Escalante, and the current president of the school board, Charlene Wagner, as we do every other month, to start some conversations directly with them about that particular topic. I know that they have liability concerns, etc., but frankly, we have facilities everywhere throughout our city, and there is a mentality that's grown up in the city of Glendale about our facilities, their facilities. They all belong to the taxpayers in the city, no matter where the tax dollars are coming from that pay for them or paid for them. I will take direction from you, Mr. Chair, as to whether or not this is the appropriate forum, but I would like some instruction before I go to that next meeting, which is coming up this month, I believe,
Right.
to initiate those talks.
Mr. Mayor, I'm going to pass the buck to our city manager to ask, I guess when Mr. Milano came in last week, there was interest on behalf of this agency to have some type of a conversation about what Mr. Draymond was talking about today. What is the appropriate forum to be discussed? Should that come as an agenda item here? Should that be a discussion between the school and the city first and then be agendized at the council meeting? What is your opinion on this?
It seems to me that if you're seeking specific direction from the council motion, then obviously it has to be placed on an agenda. This matter would be appropriately a city council agenda item. On the other hand, the broad topic and broaching the broad topic with the district, as the mayor has suggested with the upcoming meeting, I think, unless there's some feeling to the contrary, it'd be very appropriate for the mayor to raise that issue in an upcoming meeting with the board president and the superintendent.
I think
a topic that has been discussed many times before, and certainly wouldn't hurt to raise it again.
Is there any objections to that, gentlemen?
No, not at all. I mean, the facilities are still there. Every time I drive by Roosevelt, every time I drive by
Pretty white.
all these different schools, I just wonder how much longer we're going to have to wait. I mean, the facilities are there, and yet they're basically closed to the public. So,
And the kids just climb the fence.
Yeah. Well, they're being used on the weekends. Now, some of them, like Roosevelt, they have AYSO, et cetera, but still, so much more we can do. Field, elementary is another one, and it just doesn't happen.
Well, Mr. Draymond, it looks like there is no dissension among ranks, so it's all yours.
All right. Well, and the point being that I know that in these meetings, it's an issue that I, as the mayor, can raise. But I would like more than that. I'd like to be able to, on the record, know that there is support for that from the city, our city elected officials. So perhaps that will come next. But
I
that's
think
really what I'm asking.
I see our city attorney is looking at us. He does not want any kind of a decision since this is not on the agenda. But
I'm not asking for it today.
Right. So I think you could have the discussion and later on agendize the item, and then we can go from there.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Is there any new business? No. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
We're adjourned.
I would like to call to order the February 10th, 2009 meeting of the Glendale Redevelopment Agency. May we have the roll call, please?